Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the Marketplace. Coming up, we take a look at the work of the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program so far. Ahead, an exclusive with the CEO, John Kuma. COVID-19 pandemic affects trading activities on the stock market. We assess the impact as investors put their monies elsewhere. And an airport in the central region, needful or a bad idea, we'll discuss ahead. Thanks for being with us. My name is Darryl Kwa. We'll get to the stories right after this break. Welcome back to the Marketplace. In our first story, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Plan Program, NEIP, John Kuma, says entrepreneurial development forms a very important part of government's plans to increase domestic production. The COVID-19 pandemic has forced government to reconsider its investment in local production. Now, according to Mr. Kuma, over 40,000 businesses have been trained, whilst 10,000 of such businesses funded with a minimum sum of 2,000 Ghana cedis over the last 3 years. Speaking exclusively to Joy Business, he said despite the havoc wreaked on the country by the COVID-19 pandemic, some youth have unleashed their potentials. He has been speaking with my colleague Charles Aite.
We know that the pandemic, the COVID-19, has hit everybody in the world, and the 80,000 we are talking about in Ghana may even be a godsend situation compared to elsewhere. America has lost about 80 million jobs. I was listening to BBC this morning. For the first time, UK has crossed £2 trillion sterling debt as a national debt. India is considering to do another lockdown. So if you look at the consequences of the COVID-19 on the world, we were over-relying on China and elsewhere in the importation of goods and services into Ghana. But that challenge notwithstanding, I think this government was responsive enough to quickly empower local companies to go into production of COVID PPEs. We know that many firms in Ghana were giving contracts to produce nose masks, hand sanitizers, so many other things. And I think that even though COVID is a misfortune to the world, it was also an opportunity for those of us here in Africa to rethink on our self-reliance and how we can also live without the outside world. And I think it brought home the consciousness, and it also affirmed His Excellency the President believed that we must industrialize more, we must produce more of what we produce here, what we need here. And of course, you can't do all this without innovation. We saw young people innovating various machines for not just Veronica Backers, but automated systems for people to be able to properly wash their hands to, keep themselves from the COVID.
Others might feel that our response so far when it comes to the SME sector, the entrepreneurship drive, has been a knee-jerk reaction. There hasn't been an established national innovation plan that hitherto could have soaked in the pressures of COVID-19.
Well, I disagree with that position because since 2017, His Excellency set up the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, of which I'm privileged to be the CEO. And he set up a fund, not just the office, but we had a seed fund of $10 million, which we were to leverage to raise additional $100 million. And so far, we have trained about 45,000 businesses across the country and funded nearly 10,000 of these businesses have received funding support from 2,000 cedis to 100,000 Ghana cedis.
And what has been the turnover?
Well, it's been massive turnover. I mean, if you follow the M&E reports of these businesses that we have funded, people always watch the environment. If you're a young man who aims to become a big entrepreneur in future, you are looking at what has happened to those who succeeded. If you succeed and only to lose your business because of the environment that was created, it kind of scares a lot of people away. And I'm saying is the reason why we are not seeing the kind of job creation that we needed to see. But
the environment being the
political environment, not partisan. We can do our partisan politics and still create jobs. But where you take over people's businesses in the name of politics and denying them their right of ownership to property.
So that's partisan politics.
No, it's not partisan politics. That is brutish politics. That is killing initiative and drive. And that is why we have not been seeing the entrepreneurial initiative of Ghanaians, because we have seen those who succeeded and what happened to them. But I can say that since in the Fourth Republic from 1992, some stability in our environment is gradually encouraging more people to come back to reinvest in Ghana. Because before, they could not even invest in Ghana because they are afraid of being chased away by the political environment. And what I'm saying is that all these things are important to let people believe that they can indeed invest and scale up in our country, and not just even invest and scale up, but they can go multinational even on our continent and then go beyond our continent. And we are lucky in our time as young people to hear that the intercontinental free trade area is being established in Ghana. What it means is that if we are bold enough to set up businesses and enterprises and start our production in our country, we can tap into a larger market. I mean, 1.4 billion population, $3 trillion annual annual GDP that we can tap into. That's a bigger market.
The NEIP boss, John Kumate. You can catch the full interview on Business Live. That is later in the day at 5. Now, the minimal movement of vehicles due to the imposition of restrictions amid COVID-19 has impacted negatively on revenue of spare parts dealers at Abossey Okai here in Accra. The dealers say their earnings have gone down as a result. Nicholas Brown has more in the following report.
Earlier this year, the spare parts dealers at Abossey Okai threatened to increase their prices, but later rescinded their decision due to the government stimulus package. However, co-chairman of the Abossey Okai Spare Parts Dealers Association, Clement Boatin, tells Joy Business they are yet to get a portion of the 600 million cedi stimulus package. He therefore urged the National Board for Small-Scale Industries to accelerate the modalities and disbursement process.
And now they are in the process of disbursing with those that are in the medium scale and then the small scale. And those disbursements is going to be done through in conjunction with some of local banks that they have selected. So they are in the process, of working out, the modalities that they are going to be, used to disburse the money. But is the National Board for Small-Scale Industries who are, mandated to do this COVID, alleviation fund to support small businesses, to try as much as possible to speed up, their process, because our members are on our necks. Every now and then they are asking us, when is this money coming? When is this money coming? So they should try and speed up the process, because they promise us that by July they will start the disbursement and hope to finish it by August. But we are now close to ending of August, and they have not even started the disbursement of the small-scale and medium-scale enterprise. So this
President Akufo-Addo on August 17 commissioned and handed over the Secretariat of the African Continental Free Trade to the African Union Commission. The AFTA is expected to commence in 2021. Mr. Boatin says spare parts dealers in Abossey Okai are ready to take advantage of the Continental Free Trade area.
We are ready to take, advantage of this after, because already because of this Ghana automotive manufacturing policy that government has introduced, we want to partner with the Ministry of Trade, to at least try as much as possible, to finance us as an association, so that we could also start with, a little, parts manufacturing, something like maybe the windscreen, something like suspension rubbers, something like radiators. We could, start manufacturing those little, spare parts to boost, the automobile manufacturing policy that government has brought in place. And even when we are able to establish factories of that nature, we could also take advantage of the AFTA and then send some of those parts to other African countries.
So far, 30 countries have ratified the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, including Ghana, Kenya, Rwanda, and Niger. Reporting for Joy Business, I am Nicholas Brown.
And you're watching The Marketplace. Now, a Bank of Ghana report shows a decline in trading activities on the Ghana Stock Exchange for the first quarter of the year, mainly induced by the global impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. This has pushed investors to flee to safer havens like gold and the forex market. Now, stock market analyst Betha Atubika joins us to make sense of this report. Great to have you on The Marketplace, Betha. First of all, tell us a bit more about why investors fled and are still fleeing the stocks for gold and the forex market.
Okay, thank you very much, Daryl. Well, it's not only, they're not only fleeing from the stock market, but some of them are also moving away from investing or holding their funds in currencies such as the dollar to invest in gold. And there are several reasons why people would want to invest in gold. And one of it is to hedge inflation. And one of the factors that also move gold prices up is when economies are worsening or when most economies are not doing so well. And we all know what's happening right now with the coronavirus pandemic. A lot of people, a lot of countries have been impacted negatively. And a lot of equity markets too are also having the effect, the direct impact this time around. And looking at what is happening right now, people who want to have actually moved their funds from these equity markets to investment in gold because of these factors that are happening right now. The economies are worsening and people want to take advantage of that, and they are investing in an asset or a commodity that does well when the economies are not doing so well. And gold is one of these commodities that's doing well in a worsening economy. So that's one of the reasons, and they are also using it to hedge inflation because during this pandemic, we all witnessed what happened in Ghana before the lockdowns. Prices of goods and some services actually went up, and we saw inflation moving from the single digits into the positive digits, double digits again. It moved to 11.30, came down to 11.20%, and now it's 11.40%. And that should tell you the impact of COVID and how food prices went up. So people are trying to hedge from inflation and then also take advantage of the fact that gold prices do well when economies are worse.
I remember our last conversation, Betha, when we were trying to look at the impact of COVID-19 on the stock market. Then we didn't really see the impact. Now we are seeing that trading activities have declined. Just how significant is this impact?
Well, trading activities on most African exchanges have actually declined. It's not only the Ghana Stock Exchange. However, one thing that is holding the Ghana Stock Exchange is just a few equities, like the likes of MTN, CAL, and then GCB. And let us not forget that the Ghana Stock Exchange, though is actively trading now with these equities, started from last year, where the financial sector cleanup had a direct impact because investors had lost confidence on the market and would want to move into other areas where they can actually have safe investments done. Or even generally, investments generally in Ghana was very low and people didn't have that confidence to invest in stock markets. And talking about the Ghana Stock Exchange and how it's impacted trading, well, some investors would just want to move out of the market because if you look at their portfolio, if they look at their portfolios, they realize that there are certain imbalances because most equities are losing. And if these equities are not paying dividends and are not giving me capital gains as well on the exchange, then I should look at other areas where I can make some gains within the short term. And prices of equities are also coming down. Probably I would want to come out now when there's a further drop, then I come back and then look at the long-term goal where I can make more capital gains.
Let's talk about what the impact has been also on the forex market and gold prices, because we have seen the price of the commodity gold, shoot up to record levels in the last couple of months or so.
Okay, so gold prices, for instance, has gone up to 2,000. It went up to above $2,000 per ounce, and we can say that investors were actually moving their funds from the equity markets to invest in this. And then one other thing that we can also see for the Forex, for instance, is that, like I said, it's not all foreign currencies, but probably for me as an investor, I'm using myself as an example. If I would want to invest in any foreign currency right now, probably I'll be looking at the euro than to probably invest in the dollar. And my reason is simple. If you look at the European Union right now, and you look at what is happening in the United States of America, you realize that US, because this current governments, we know, have been printing a lot of dollars from beginning of the year till now. And that means that there's a lot of dollars in the system, and that devalues your currency. When you print more dollars, or when you print more of your currency, it devalues it. And if you look at the measures that have been put in place to actually curb this pandemic, you look at the European Union and you look at what is happening in the US, you realize that strategic measures have been put, or more prudent measures have been put in place in Europe than in America. And even in Europe, you realize that they have put in a 7-year plan going forward, how to go about with the economy, but we don't have that in place in the United States. So probably someone will look at these factors and say, okay, now that the dollar is losing value, I'd rather invest in the euro or hold the euro than to invest in the dollar. Okay, my final question to you, if you can do that in a minute, what does this say essentially about our economy now? The gold prices? I mean, what we are seeing happen on the stock market, and the fact that people are investing their monies in the forex market and in commodities such as gold. Well, it's just to tell you that investors would want to protect themselves as much as they can than to have losses being recorded regularly on the equity market. But one thing that I also like to say is that when prices are low on the equity market, it's an opportunity for people to come on board. Though people are willing to sell off at any prevailing price right now because they have some imbalances in their portfolio or they are recording lots of losses on the equity market, they should be able to withstand this particular period because it's just a time. And now if we get a vaccine for coronavirus today, or if there's a vaccine for coronavirus tomorrow, then it means that with the possibility of gold prices coming down is going to be very high. And because most economies are going to actually have this vaccine in place, and then are going to grow again. So it's one thing. We should be patient on the stock market, and once there's no vaccine as well, we shouldn't expect gold prices to come down. Okay. Let me just say this. Some markets are actually, or some experts are predicting that gold prices might hit $4,000 per ounce because of some of these this major factor that's there not being a vaccine for the coronavirus pandemic. I would have to leave it there. Thank you so much. We'll continue the conversation subsequently. I appreciate all the thoughts and insights into what is happening on the stock market. Now, there was quite some political activity over the weekend, which included the launch of the NPP manifesto with just months to the elections. During his address at the launch of the party's manifesto, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia disclosed that the NPP will construct an airport in the central region. Listen.
The people of Cape Coast, I have good news for you. We are building a new harbor in Cape Coast and a new airport in Cape Coast. It is very critical that we do that. An airport makes a lot of sense in Cape Coast. So we have a major promise, a policy initiative, which will say that all tertiary students, except teacher and nursing trainees who will be on allowances, but all tertiary students will now be able to get the option to obtain a student loan without the requirement of a guarantor. You should vote for more for Nana so that he will provide the leadership of service to deliver on our promises, the leadership for service to protect our progress, and the leadership of service to transform Ghana for all.
Aviation expert Kojo Opon joins me with some perspective to this. Does it make business sense, Kojo, to construct an airport in the central region?
Hello, Darrell. Thank you. In my personal opinion, I believe, given the closeness of the Takoradi, airport to Cape Coast, it will make much more, sense to expand the Takoradi Airport for now. Because as it is now, even prior to COVID, we're not having that much traffic, to the airport. So looking at post-COVID, it's going to take a whole while, a bit longer for, traffic to even get back to pre-COVID. So for now, I think it's more prudent to, build and expand the Takoradi Airport than to build a new one in Cape Coast. But that's my personal opinion anyway. The government might know better. If the idea is to build an airport in all the regions, then eventually that might be it. But in my opinion, I think it will make much more sense to expand the Takoradi Airport as well.
All right. And just if you could just keep your device stable for us, we are sort of losing you throughout your presentation. Now, we are also getting some figures on the impact of COVID-19 on the aviation sector here in Africa. Now, ITA projecting some 3.5 million jobs in Africa's aviation space are likely to be lost. Now, only in June, Kojo, the GCAA mentioned it had lost 95% of its income as a result of the ban on foreign travel. So now, how crucial is it that we reopen our borders, seeing that tentatively we are looking at September?
Yes, as it is now, the aviation industry is one of the industries that took the hardest hit. The job losses, span across the whole sector of the aviation industry, from airlines, from the aircraft manufacturers, from the catering service, from the cabin crew, even the tour agencies. I mean, the hotels, like it's very long-standing. So opening up the borders will help in like a long way to quicken the recovery, because whichever the case, we have to recover. So many jobs have lost. I mean, like the whole worldwide, we are looking at 25 million jobs that have been lost and more. You understand? We have airlines that have laid off their whole fleet. We have almost half of the A380 fleet aircraft in Europe have been grounded. We have Qantas Airline grounding their whole A380 fleet. We have so many pilots losing their losing their jobs and all that. So the earlier we get back to flying, the better it is for the industry and then for the economy as well, for whichever all the jobs that rely on the airline industry.
And just in a minute, the emphasis has been on reopening safely. So we are told that management of the KIA, Kotoka International Airport, together with Noguchi, is testing a COVID-19 PCR detection kit to test international travelers when the airport reopens. How does that sound to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's in the right way. I mean, I said earlier on, my earlier interview, that keeping to the protocols, keeping to the right protocols, making sure there's enough testing, making sure that there's enough PPEs to go around for everyone involved. So we have all the agencies involved, from the passengers, from the airport agencies, and for the airlines itself. So if each one play their role, obviously we're going to have a smooth transition from COVID era to probably ending the pandemic. Yeah.
Thanks for making time to join us on The Marketplace. That's it for our program this afternoon. My name is Darryl Kwao.